What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about MicroStrategy today. Hit that like button, you guys. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Let's get into it, okay? Here we are at about $304 right now. I'm sorry it's been so long since I've talked about MicroStrategy, man. Let's see, what is it? MSTR. 15th. Yeah, it's been about a week, man. I just genuinely have forgotten to talk about it. And on the bright side, it really hasn't been that exciting at all. And neither really has Bitcoin right over the past few days. It's just been moving sideways. So, yeah, here we are at $304. Looking like, if Bitcoin does go lower to the targets that I'm expecting, it goes to about 70K, 74K, somewhere in that area, probably close to 71 to 72K, somewhere in that area. If we see something in that kind of zone, let's just put it like right at 72K. It's about a 14% drop from here. That doesn't mean MicroStrategy has to drop 14%, but likely it drops, something similar, if not more, I would assume. 14% would put you at 259. Something less, I don't think that you're going to see a lower low. I at least don't believe that you're going to see a lower low, right? So lower, yes. Lower low, no. You do have higher highs in your RSI, and you can see that here, right? High here, higher high, higher high, while promoting high here, lower high, even lower high today, or like a double top kind of high. So that is hidden bearish divergence. You are picking up a little bit of volume. This is nice, guys. You're getting some. Look at this here, right? And this little consolidation phase right here, consolidating here, and you're getting more volume now than you've seen really throughout the majority of this consolidation phase up until here where you're at the top there. That's nice. This is definitely accumulation. Some stuff's going on. I want to check out. Let's see what the open interest charts are telling us. What the gotta get that back on. Gotta get that boom boom boom. I don't know if can I say that. Is that okay? Am I gonna get CR'd? I don't think so. I said boom boom bang. Gotta get that bang boom boom. $304 now. Load, you silly thing. It's because of my internet, man. It's not my internet. It's T-Mobile's internet. It's very bad. It's quite terrible. Let's see if we can refresh this and see if that does anything. Yeah, there we go. Implied volatility. Okay. Yeah. This isn't what I was looking at. Overview. Or did they update it? Oh, bro, this is different. This is different. Yo, I kind of like this. I'm not going to lie, though. Let's go to the options chart, though. Maybe I've just never checked. Open interest. We'll get the view all expiries on there. I didn't even see that other chart page. I might have to check that out some other time. So yeah, for the first time in a while, our put to call ratio is in the positives, above a 1. Next week, same thing, carrying over. The middle of April, we have a lot of calls coming in. That's not necessarily good, but hopefully some more puts get put on. I am assuming what's going to happen, you guys. Not financial advice, not a financial advisor. And before I continue, maybe I should actually look at the max pain chart real quick too, just to see. I think this is a great thing to look at. Yeah, max pain is a little bit lower. It's a little bit lower, my friends. March 28th. Okay, so max pain for the end of the month, which is a pretty big deal, right? End of the month weekly close is, and this would be the end of the month for, I think, wouldn't it be? No. Would it be on this day here? Because that week is April 4th. I think you would have March. Either way, they're both around the same area. All I'm trying to say is it would imply that we drop a little bit lower, and I think that we will. I think that we will see prices around 290 and probably down at like 240 at some point. What I'm expecting is if Bitcoin drops in the way that I'm expecting it to drop, we're gonna see MicroStrategy calls go away. People are gonna panic. People right now are stubborn and resilient. Let's just say that, right? There is a lot of fear in the markets, and there's a lot of pessimism, and some people have even begun to say that this is a bear market, the beginnings of a bear market, which it's not. But there are a lot of people who are still clinging on to hope and really clinging on to these lows being the lows. I truly believe if and when we take out that low, everybody's going to crap their pants for real, right? A lot of people, you know, people that I think are reputable in the crypto space are counting on this to be the lows, and they're making out a bullish case for that and saying that we won't go below this. And I think that a lot of people are going to be thrown off. There's plenty of people who are prepared for these lower prices. There are plenty of people, and who am I to say what the general consensus is right now on the fear and greed index? If we look at this, by the way, I don't know if blur kind of looks interesting, to be fair, but I don't know if it is interesting. I don't like the max supply limit there. We look at that. The sentiment is fearful, but it just seems to me like it's desperate at the same time, fearful but desperate, right? If Bitcoin goes any lower, I think people really will crap themselves, and I think you'll see a lot of that open interest, that those call options go away, and there will be some negative impacts on that, and you'll see some put options coming into play at the lows, as is usual, right? We probably had a lot of call options open here. We'll probably have a lot of put options open at the downside. That can be fuel to the upside, right? $304 now. Who knows if any of that's true? But if we were to see MicroStrategy perform alongside with Bitcoin, dropping 14% or more from its current price, and let's just see actually, because this was on Friday, right? Friday Bitcoin right now, it's Sunday technically, but Friday that was here. It didn't move, so yeah, cool. We're basically at the same price. That's good. So 14% from here would take you, boom, right to the golden ratio. Perfect. You'd fill this gap. Can you see the gap right here? Little gap right there. You already filled that gap there as well, but this is gap city. Gap here, gap there, gap right there, gap back here, gap city, bro. So you're probably going to fill that gap one last time to the downside. 262 to 256 is a good area to go to if you drop more than Bitcoin, which you very well could, because you're kind of a derivative of Bitcoin. Being in MicroStrategy, pretty much are a derivative of Bitcoin, or a some kind of something that's attached to it. And generally things that are derived from anything, they have bigger swings up and bigger swings down. So perhaps you do see something as low as like 250, 240. It's possible you could go lower. I just have a hard time seeing MicroStrategy go lower. You've come up so high so well that I think that kind of drop in Bitcoin, I just don't assume that you're going to see a crazy drop versus MicroStrategy, but time will tell. I would say 240 to 262 is the area to expect. Okay, that's probably not going to happen all in one day. I would expect it does happen over the coming weeks, maybe to end the month, maybe to end or to start April even. It could be sometime around there. I have a theory about April 2nd, and in case you guys don't know what's going on April 2nd, Donald Trump is putting on tariffs. This is not a political statement. This is a fact statement, all right? Get your whatevers out of a wad. Donald Trump is going to put tariffs, reciprocated tariffs, on the whole rest of the world, right? And I think a lot of people are probably assuming this is going to be a very bearish event. Why? Because here, if we look here, right, what was it, March or February 3rd, right here. Here was whenever the tariffs were first going to get placed, but they ultimately got called off. If you notice, MicroStrategy dipped initially. It dipped a lot, but then it came back up because it was like a whew. It was just a bluff. It wasn't a bluff. Mexico and Canada called Trump to negotiate. They made promises that they didn't follow through on, and well, the tariffs went through, or the price dropped through because the tariffs ultimately were getting closer to being realized, right? March 4th, I think, was the day that we had some tariffs come out, if I'm not mistaken. And we did drop that day as well. And actually, we dropped beforehand, right? So we dropped beforehand here. We dropped beforehand on the 3rd as well. And I think what's going to happen is we're going to drop beforehand on this. I think people might assume that it's more bearish than it actually is. So we'll probably drop going into the end of this month. April 2nd comes along, and I'm going to assume it's not going to be as bad as people are expecting it to be. I think a lot of countries are, and already have, and I say a lot, there's a handful, but there will be more, I'm assuming, by that date. If not, maybe it takes a little bit more time. Maybe it is worse than I'm thinking it'll be. But by that time, I think there will be a lot of countries who have taken their tariffs away because they don't want the reciprocated tariffs. And if that happens this day, no matter how many tariffs are being placed on, there might be a positive way to spin it. The negative price action is already there. This negative news is already priced in. People expect it to go lower, but then the big day happens. It's kind of the opposite of a buy the hype, sell the news event. It's more like sell the hype, buy the news event once we get down there. And I think those prices, again, will be at like 263 to 240, somewhere in that zone. That's the expectation. Hidden bearish divergence at the end of the day does give us the hint that we will move back to some degree. Not a lot of volume on the move up. You have a lot more volume down here at these lows. I'm assuming you'll go lower. Let's see. What do we got here? Let's look at the... this isn't the best thing, but let's just look. Is this the one? Yeah, something like that. This would call for a move down to, what, 270? I don't like this one as much. Anchored volume profile. I don't like that one as much. It's basically the same thing as the next one that I'm going to put on, but let's see. That's not the one that I meant to put on. It's fixed volume range, right? Right here to there. Yeah. This would call for move down to about, yeah, actually that same area, 275, maybe to 260. So perhaps you don't go lower than 260. Perhaps that is as low as you go. I don't know. That doesn't mean that's what you have to do, but let's see from a high to a low here. 236, 278. I mean, hey man, maybe you don't go down to 260, but that'd be kind of odd, at least in my opinion. That would be kind of odd. Reaching for your golden ratio, but not quite hitting that. I don't know. Maybe it happens. Maybe you do. Maybe you do stop at like 278. I would think you fill this gap though. So I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to say 260, 260 to 240. That's where I think you're going to go, okay, to the downside. Then, my friends, only then, after you find that low, can we begin talking about breaking out of this range? Because you haven't, even though you moved up over the past couple weeks, you have not broken out of this range, which, by the way, this is a very perfect looking bull flag, right? It's not the most like crazy eruptive bull flag that we've seen in this market, but hey, that's a very solid bull flag right there. If this is a bull flag, and I think it is, if it flaps like a flag, if it wags like one, I think it is, from a low to a high here, your bull flag measure move, and I don't assume you go lower than this low, so we're going to stick with that. That's all the way up at $1,100, you guys. $1,100, 1,100. You know what the nice thing about the measure move is? You don't have to stop there. You can go through it. You can fall short of it. You can do whatever, right? But if we're assuming that's the low, and I am assuming that's the low, we put on a high to a low fib here. You can see that that takes us above the 1618, which is at $918. Likely, because again, the measure move is an idea, it's not a requirement. Likely you don't stop right below the 1886. Likely you at least hit it. So, and with the 1886, it's more of a specific zone. You actually can go somewhere between the 1886 and the 200. You can stop right at it, but it's more common to go a little bit through it. That's why I have these two lines here. Maybe I should just make them purple, both of them purple here. Where are we at here? Finally getting done with this. Let's see, 200 there. It's going to throw me off for a second because it's been red like my whole damn life. But there we go, purple. It's the purple zone. For whatever reason, it just stands out better against these colors, I think. Yeah, something between $1,150 to $1,300 is coming. It's happening. But first, lower. First, we have to create some capitulation, uncertainty, and fear. Most importantly, we need fear. Bulls thrive off of fear. Cars run off of gas, right? Bulls run off of bare blood and tears. That's what they run off of, or I guess actually it'd be more of bull blood and tears. I don't know. Anyways, we need more fear in the markets to drive the price higher, I think, and that's going to happen with a lower price for Bitcoin and ultimately a lower price here for MicroStrategy. Don't be discouraged if we do go below this low. That's fine, because if you look at these numbers here, that was at that 1618 at 918. If this line goes lower, these targets only get higher as it goes lower. So if we happen to go below this low, which I don't think we will, or if we did, it wouldn't be by too much. I think that we would still find support above $200, probably even above like 220. It wouldn't be a long-lived low at all, and in a very short amount of time we'd move up. How short of an amount of time? I'm glad that you asked. Let's go over that right now, okay? Let's figure out how long it's going to take for this move to take place. We're at least going to assume, do our best to assume, okay? So this from here to the top to here to the bottom, this is basically your bear market, this whole phase right here, right? That's your bear market. This essentially has been your bull market, okay? So let's go with the bull market moves. How long has it taken to make your bull market moves? Well, from a low here to a high there, and not the fake out high, but the high right there, that was about a 5-week episode right there, 5 weeks. From a low here to this high here, that was about 5 weeks there, yes? From a low, is that the low? Is that the low? I think that's the low right there. From a low here to a high here, that was 4 weeks. You guessed it. Wow, it's a pretty short amount of time each time, isn't it? We're probably going to get some longer ones here. The move didn't really start. I mean, here was your low, sure, but I think the move really started here and then ended over here. 11 weeks. There we go. That's a little bit more on par there. High or low to high. I would say the move ended here. This is a fake out high, but whether you want to say it's 9 weeks or 7 weeks, I'm going to say 7 weeks. And again, I don't think that this was the beginning of the move. I do think this move this week was, right? Because that was the low right before that right there. Not the low of the overall consolidation phase, but the low, like literally the next week we started to move up. So beginning of the move started from here and went up. That was about 11 weeks. So anything from 11 weeks to 5 weeks, we're not going to throw in that 4-week one. I mean, that's an outlier. And personally, I don't know about you guys. I might sound crazy, I know, but I don't think in 4 weeks' time we're going to see this thing at $1,100 to $1,300. I don't think that's going to happen. So something on the lines of 5 weeks. Then let's say it takes to the end of the month for this to happen, right? Let's say that we're still moving down. We have 1 week, 2 weeks left in the month, or I guess that's the very end of the month there. Let's just put it in that first week of April. Okay, let's put it there. Let's even move past that first week before we start getting going, right? Let's just say, let's be pessimistic or even conservative with the time frame. Okay, so a 5-week period there would put us sometime in the middle of May, right? That'd be sometime the 12th of May and beyond. 6 weeks, which we haven't seen, but it could happen. Maybe even 7 weeks. That's still the middle of May. 7 weeks we have seen before. That's the end of May. 11 weeks, which we've seen happen twice potentially, would put us at the end of June. And I've actually gotten really friendly with the idea that we do see Bitcoin, and by definition then the rest of crypto, continue to pump into June. And this is actually inspired by somebody. I'm going to give you guys a little peek into what my June analysis will be, my May analysis will be. We're really early for this, but I was looking at this the other day because somebody was saying, trust when I tell you, like don't think about it. Sell in May and go away. And I've heard this expression before. I've heard it, sell in May and go away. I've heard that, and I understand that, right? That's a very old stock saying, and that's what they say, right? And that's fine, that's fair, right? The notion is, I think, at least how from what I've heard from experts that have talked about it, is, all the people behind their desks are on summer vacation. They're not trading anymore, so they've taken all their profits. They're enjoying life. So there's nothing really going on that's worth doing, right? You sell in May, you go away, you come back later in the year when everybody's off vacation and back to work because they need Christmas money. But let's do this real quick analysis on Bitcoin, okay? This is going to help us understand why we could top at the end of June. I'm not saying that we will, and I say top, I just mean find our next high. I don't know if it's going to be by the end of June. I don't know if it's going to be by the end of May, but I suspect somewhere in that time frame. Technically, middle May to end of June is what we're looking at, right? Right. Okay. This is going to help make sense out of that. So what we're going to do is we're going to put some cyclical lines on here, cyclic lines. If we start with the very first May that we ever had, which was in May 2010, May here, and we put these nice cyclic lines to May of 2011, right here. Every single one of these lines is now May. Let's see how well sell in May and go away works. Okay, let's just see how well this works in a bull market, specifically in a bull market. We can check out the bear market ones too, but it's probably not going to be as useful. We're in a bull market, okay? If you sold in May and went away here, you screwed up. You really screwed up hard, okay? June and especially July, that was great. If you sold in May here and went away, well, if you sold at the end of May, okay, you screwed up a little bit, right? You did screw up a little bit. It doesn't look that big, but from that, you missed 265% of growth. But ultimately, yeah, it worked out for you. I would say that worked out. But to be completely fair, you still continue to grow into June, okay? If you sold in May here and went away, you screwed up again. It continued to grow after there. Now, here we're in a bull market. This is one of the few times you sell in May, go away. Okay, for 2 months it worked out, and then the next 2 months it had to go. So this is a good example of where it actually worked out, I think. Here, if you sold in May and you went away, this is even in a bear market, but the next month we continue to grow. The next month even we saw a higher high. Bear market, right here at the end of the bear market, the crab market, sell in May and go away. You went up, actually. It would have screwed you up. Here, sell in May and go away. You messed up. June continued to grow. Sell in May, go away. No, sir, it continued to grow. Sell in May, go away. Okay, this time it worked. But again, in a bear market, okay? Sell in May, go away. In a bull market, no, sir, you continue to grow in June. It's more of a sell in June and go away, if anything. But even then, still not conclusive. Sell in May, go away? I don't think so. 3.3% to the downside, and then the next month moved up 24%. I think you screwed up if you sold in May on that one. So no, I'm going to say no there. Although to be fair, it did close red a little bit. This one, bear market, sell in May, go away. Technically, if you sold in May at the top, at the beginning of the month, sure. But generally, you wouldn't want to sell at the beginning of May because it seems as though that's a bad idea. And May tends to be a green month. June is probably the better month to sell. But if you did that here, even though it was the end of the bull market, you screwed up. Here, bear market, sell in May, go away. Okay, you get another one. That might be like 2 or 3. This is actually like the second one that's actually helpful. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? Sell in May here. June was green. Bull market, right? Bad idea. It continued to go down, sure. But if you sold in May, you basically would be buying at the same price as you sold at anyways. You should really just hold. And then here, during the halving time, okay, that's one that actually worked as well. So out of all these instances, we went through the whole life of Bitcoin. Are you convinced? I'm not even going to tell you what I think. I think it's obvious what I think. But are you convinced that sell in May and go away is a good thing? Right? Just answer that yourselves. And if that answer is what I think it is, I want to ask you very realistically here. Do you believe that we can top at the end of June? I definitely believe that we can. I think it can be the end of June, if not sometime at the end of May. I do expect somewhere in that kind of time frame, maybe even mid-May to be the time. But if you sell in May and go away, you might not catch this whole move just because it's May or the end of May, and we're not quite at $1,000 yet. We might be, who knows? Doesn't mean that the move's over. I think that the move will not end, regardless of what time frame it is, until we're at about $1,100 to $1,300. We could go higher. It could be, again, the bull flag is just an idea. Very realistically speaking, you guys, we could see targets that are up at $1,700. We really could. I don't this thing could be more bullish than I'm giving it credit for, but time will tell. Hidden bullish divergence, lower lows on the weekly RSI, higher lows here. MicroStrategy is about to rip. It is about to rip, but first a little dip. We're gonna dip our toes to the downside, 260 to 240. And then afterwards, in April, we're going to commence this move. I think once April 2nd happens, once these reciprocated tariffs happens, and maybe it's that week, maybe it's the week after, maybe it's 2 weeks after, we're going to figure things out. That fear is going to go away, and it's bull time, you guys. It's absolute bull time. I've got nothing else to say. I hope you liked the video. If you did, hit the like button. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Shout out to Stanley Wong for the request, and shout out to all the other people who requested this. I'm sorry I haven't talked about it in a week. I genuinely just forgot to talk about it, man. I'm like, genuinely, I'm like, what stock have I forgotten to talk about? What crypto have I forgotten to talk about? And I'll like lay in bed at night and I'm like, oh, I forgot to talk about MicroStrategy tonight, but that's no excuse, guys. I'm going to try to be better about it. We'll talk about this one daily as I have. I like MicroStrategy and I like the MicroStrategy people. I know there's a lot of you guys that have subscribed for the MicroStrategy content and other content, so I'm going to produce that. We're going to continue to make that. I got nothing else for you. Hit the like button, subscribe. Bye-bye.